thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
Rocking the flannels. Cold in Texas.
He's a lumberjack today, you guys. Good morning, everybody. Yes. Oh, wait. Hold on. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Good morning. It is just Thursday, December 4th, you guys. And today, are you ready for this? Oh, you're going to love this. You're going to love this, Stone. You're going to love it. Because today is National Santa's List Day.
Yeah.
Have you been naughty or nice?
I don't know.
Have you been naughty or nice is the question everybody wants to know, Stone.
Depends on who you ask.
Depends on who you ask. Interesting. Well.
Santa's List Day. I was born Jewish, so I get excluded from all this stuff.
I don't believe that at all, Nate. That's not true. That's a false narrative. Okay, it's a very false narrative.
At least that's Jason's truth, right?
Hey, my truth is the world truth, Dale.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad you didn't have to grow up that way.
Yeah,
the lack of
delusional.
I live in reality, the realest reality on the planet.
The one with Santa Claus.
That's still delusional.
Hey, just saying, bro. Just saying. You know what I mean? You know. And well, since you guys are all haters, it's also National Cabernet Franc Day today, you guys. Oh, that was good. That was good, Stone. That was little little Brigitte Macron there, I heard.
That's my French.
Yeah, little comme allez-vous, you know what I mean? Yeah, oui. It's also National Wildlife Conservation Day.
All right.
That would make sense.
Yeah. It's National Sock Day.
Socks?
Yeah, socks. Yeah, that's right. National Socks. Socks have a national day. We're not talking about the baseball teams either, Stone.
That's a good thing. I got my socks on.
Yeah, I got my socks on. You know what I mean? You know, thank goodness for socks.
Who makes this shit up?
Hey, I'm just saying.
Days?
Hey.
Yeah.
It's also National Dice Day today. Shout out to Dice.
That's Vegas.
Yeah. I wonder. So is this?
Not Dice Clay?
I was about to say that. Is it Andrew Dice Clay Day then?
I was gonna go with it.
Yes.
It's just literally the number 2 dice reference I know.
Yes. Yeah.
Or he was a wild and crazy guy, I tell you what.
Mm-hmm. Or is it just the day to say craps with it all? You know, that's, you know what I'm saying? Stone finally got it. Oh, yeah. Especially, you know, Nate doing all that Vegas talk earlier. You know what I'm saying? And today, you guys, it is also National, guess what? It's National Cookie Day. Shout out to cookies. That's why it's Santa's List
What's your
Day.
favorite kind of cookie, Jason?
Peanut butter.
Don't say chocolate chip.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
But actually, there's these other ones. You know, I don't know what their actual name of them is. I've heard like people on the East Coast call them one thing and people on the West Coast call them a whole nother thing. So I'm not sure what the actual like formal name is, but it's not like a cookie that's sold in stores. It's only stuff that I've seen people bake. And it's like a peanut butter cookie with sugar around it, and then it has a Hershey's chocolate kiss in the center.
That's called something. Yeah, I can't remember what that is.
See what I'm saying, Stone? Everybody knows what they are, but no one knows what they're called, and everyone calls them a different thing. It's like the Tower of Babel all over again on these cookies.
Totally.
Sounds like stoner bacon to me.
Oh, they're so good, Dale. They're so good. They're the best.
Yeah, total stoner
they're the
bacon.
best.
I'm gonna put Hershey's Kiss on this cookie.
Yes, and I'm going to continue to make this announcement throughout the show to everybody. We have been off of YouTube for a week because they striked a video. You know what I mean? Like they striked a Monday video on a Wednesday and didn't make any sense to us. So we were in YouTube jail for a week. So we want to make sure that everyone that watches us on YouTube that is following us on Rumble or X. Rumble or X is where you guys need to make sure that you go, that you're following us at. If we're ever not on YouTube, that's where we will be. And please make sure that you're following us there so that way you can keep up with us and everything that's going on, because YouTube is a very unstable platform and they don't have any rhyme or reason as to why they do what they do. So please make sure that you're following us on X and Rumble. And I'm going to continue to make these announcements all throughout the show, probably for the rest of eternity, as long as we're on YouTube. So you know what I mean? Nonetheless, but thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast, and you can look down below and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. And you can look up above and see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday back on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website, www.high9news.com. So welcome to everyone. Join us from any one of those platforms. And again, make sure you are following us on X and Rumble. And today I have an interesting tale, because the hemp ban, you guys, that was just recently passed sends chills on the prospectus for progress on cannabis banking, you guys. That's right. A provision in the legislation that reopened the government last month will ban nearly all forms of intoxicating hemp has stamped out an lingering optimism for cannabis banking or for rescheduling the substance in the near term. Look at that, you guys. Take that, Chris Brady. Observers say it signals a sharp political turn away from legalization, weakens momentum for cannabis banking reform, and casts further doubt on rescheduling, which has stalled despite an optimistic outlook earlier this year. Jarrett Seberg, an analyst with TD Cowen, said the overwhelmingly bipartisan vote for the amendment shows how quickly the tide has turned on the issue. And in a quote, he says, "There were 76 senators who voted to keep the ban on intoxicating hemp in the spending package," Seberg said in a research note. "The idea of legalizing Delta 9 rather than outlawing Delta 8 was never an option. It was difficult for us to find a coalition in both chambers that would favor legalization, rescheduling, or even cannabis banking reform." The 2018 Farm Bill limited the concentration of the most common form of cannabis ingredient, that's right, THC, known as Delta 9 THC, in hemp products to be no more than 0.3% of the product's dry weight. Delta 9 is only one variant of cannabis-derived intoxicant, however, and a hemp industry has emerged in parallel with the state-sanctioned cannabis industry. That parallel hemp industry sells products that narrowly fit within the Farm Bill exemption, often containing a legally permissive level of Delta 9 THC, but also intoxicating levels of other unregulated THC variants, which are typically found in trace amounts in natural cannabis. The law expanded the ban to all forms of THC, including Delta 8, Delta 10, THCA, effectively making the vast majority of modern hemp products illegal when the rule takes effect next November. Even companies not selling intoxicants are bracing for effective collapses in their businesses. Many CBD products, specifically versions that include the full range of naturally occurring cannabinoids contained in hemp plant, would be considered banned because they naturally contain small but non-compliant amounts of THC. that exceed the new limit. Jim Higdon, founder of Kentucky-based Cornbread Hemp and the vice president for communications at the U.S. Hemp Roundtable, an advocacy group for legal hemp, said the move would devastate a growing and important agricultural industry. He added that the ban, sponsored by Senator Marijuana Mitch McConnell, Republican from Kentucky, was driven by outside interests like the bourbon industry, which holds sway in his home state. In a quote, he says, "The popularity of hemp-derived beverages has been unacceptable to the bourbon industry that continues to lose customers, and McConnell is in a position to feather his nest for legacy, and that includes a number of building projects that would carry his name long after he's left," Higdon said. "We have less than a year to save legal hemp THC in America and full-spectrum CBD products." Others in the hemp beverage sector see the ban as a direct attack on a fast-growing market. Joe Garrity, CEO of Crescent Canna, a company that sells hemp-derived THC beverages and products, said that hemp beverages are already sold in many mainstream outlets like grocery stores, bars, restaurants, and music venues, and that major retailers were eyeing the sector prior to the law's passage. The industry is a rapidly growing $30 billion a year industry that also contributes over $1.5 billion in annual tax revenue, Garrity said. Not to mention, it contributes to the employment of around 300,000 people. It stands opposed to everything Trump has espoused, and as a pro-business, pro-pharma, and as a pro-freedom president. I happen to agree with that. Tyler Berlin, chair of the Banking and Financial Services Committee of the National Cannabis Industry Association, said the ban will instantly wipe out a massive revenue pool for banks that have served the industry and profited from their partnerships. In a quote, he says, "You have a multi-billion-dollar industry segment. It's now gone," he said. "It will also impact the banks that had taken the leap to bank those in the industry because that deposit base and growth is gone." The law's impact on the official cannabis sector is more complex and potentially positive in the short term, says Steiberg, who called it a business win, at least for banks already serving state legal cannabis companies. In a quote, "Intoxicating hemp is largely unregulated but competes with state legal cannabis products," he said. "Treating the products the same ensures a level playing field, which should benefit state legal cannabis companies." But Brulin said licensed cannabis operators did not face the same restrictions on tax deductions as the regulated cannabis industry does. Section 280E of the Internal Revenue Code currently prevents cannabis companies from making tax deductions for business engaged in trafficking controlled substances, and Section 280E applies to only Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 substances, but unless cannabis is rescheduled, the industry won't be able to deduct expenses on federal tax filings. Excuse me. "Whether or not the cannabis industry wants to admit it, it's a big win for them," Berlin said. "The hemp-based side of the industry essentially didn't have to play by the same rules as the cannabis side did. They weren't subject to 280E. They had free reign," he says. And there's hope for a new federal treatment of cannabis arose in May of 2024 when the Biden Justice Department began the progress of moving marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, and the agency held an initial public hearing on the proposal in December of 2024, but soon after, the DEA stalled further consideration of rescheduling. While Trump's pick to lead the DEA, Terrence Cole, called considering the rescheduling proposal one of his first priorities. During his Senate confirmation hearing in April, a July DEA release listing his top 8 strategic priorities did not mention cannabis rescheduling. And many cannabis companies already have access to banking, but often only small state-level institutions offering limited services at higher costs are willing to work with the industry. But larger banks, by contrast, remain cautious due to their heightened regulatory scrutiny, and rescheduling cannabis would allow a federally legal medical market, Steinberg says, but the outcome looks increasingly unlikely. And in a quote, "This would mean one would need a prescription and likely would fulfill it at a pharmacy and would have a legal state-sanctioned adult use and medical markets," Steinberg said. "The problem is that a federally legal medical market is not the most probable outcome. Our base case is that little changes at the federal level between now and the 2028 election." At a House Financial Services hearing with the three chief banking regulators this week, Representative Warren Davison, Republican from Ohio, highlighted the precarious state of the hemp industry and the uncertainty that banks now face when serving these companies. He submitted his questions for record, so none of the impaneled regulators responded. And he says, "Are banks still blocking customers who are engaged in lawful marijuana activities?" Davidson asked. "Because nearly every state, whether you like it or not, has made some form of marijuana law in those states. And we haven't synced up at the federal level. So I'd love to catch up on how we're doing that," he says. Well. Shout out to Warren Davison. I wonder if my friend still works in their communications office, because that totally sounds like them. But I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
What a joke.
Right?
Yeah. Anybody thinks that this is going anywhere soon is smoking crack. It's called, it ain't going nowhere. And McConnell pulled the rug out from a $28 billion industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to go away.
Yeah.
Cannabis got here in the trap. Trap is still here.
Exactly.
And it's not that difficult to understand. Either going to raise a lot of revenue off of weed, or you're going to get out of the way and let the market get rid of the black market. Can't have both.
Mm-hmm.
And we're stuck in no man's land here. These people are just giving lip service. The economic reality that they don't want to address is that people are going to buy weed. If you don't make it available to them, the trap is going to sell it to them. And all this is just lip service, because they can't fix the problem through a law.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get the fuck out of the way and let the market fix this problem. That's what the hemp industry did. They just got out of the way and let them go. And look, within a couple of years, they got a huge industry growing. Now they're trying to rein it back in, and that's not going to work either.
Mm-hmm.
The trap's not going to sell you THC drinks. I just don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
That may be done.
I don't know, man. I think we screwed the pooch when we allowed them to split the plant the way it's split. You've got the two sides now fighting each other for them. They can just sit back now and watch these guys cannibalize each other. There's been reports that this hemp roundtable with cornbread or whatever is trying to carve out the special little thing for low THC drinks and F the rest of the guys. And they've got everybody fighting against each other. It's messed up. The industry won't survive unless we find a way to come together and strategize together.
Come together, sing together.
Now.
Oh, there's a little kumbaya over there, huh, Stone? That's cute. That's cute,
Yeah, come
buddy.
on.
That's cute. That's real cute.
Painful amounts of misinformation out there, isn't there, guys?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I kept hearing that. The words coming from the article, Jason, not you, of course, just representing with that.
Yeah, oh, don't worry. I don't take any offense to anything anyway, just so don't worry about that, Nate.
It makes me almost think, though, too, like as you were reading through it, and I was just kind of, listening to this from as open-minded perspective as possible. And I mean, there's clearly just such a lack of logic that goes into situations like this, and such a present bias and jumping from and making these logical leaps. It's not becoming of anybody. I'm really just sort of scratching my head trying to think of, as much as we see and represent even in your show, how things are pushing forward. Like holy crap, it just feels so unacceptable, bad guys winning type storyline for this kind of stuff to be coming up like that. It doesn't belong. And I'm just sitting here forever bewildered when these types of things come into our focus and into light. Like, Jason, what are they going to do, man? What's going to happen? I mean, I'm it's rhetorical, but can somebody give me a real answer too at the same time?
It's interesting because this article came out, and I haven't heard from anybody, from any of my friends in DC or whatnot, and especially my friends that are on the Senate Banking Committee, that there is currently any stalls going on safe banking. other than the fact that it hasn't passed yet and whatnot. So I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know how much I believe a lot of this at the same time. You know, it's very possible due to the fact of the high level people that they had quoting this from capital firms and whatnot, that maybe they're trying to paint some narrative by putting this out there, which is always a possibility. But, you know, I'm not sold on this whole stall that they're referring to, because we've been being already stalled already. So it's not like it's like all of a sudden like some new news that's happening. You know what I mean? There's a few things that are in the works that are going on. And, you know what I'm saying? Some of those things got to get worked out. So let them just work the things out. And, you know what I'm saying? Let us do that. I don't think that all of a sudden because this hemp bill passed, which everybody knows people are going to be lobbying for it to get changed, is all of a sudden like, oh, everything else is on hold until we figure this out for a year. Psst, I'm not buying all that. I'm not buying all that ridiculousness, especially when Trump already signaled for safe banking back in his first term. So I'm not really buying a lot of that.
Hey, out of curiosity, were the representatives whose quotes you had there, were they from Mississippi? I was trying to figure out that accent.
No, that was not. It was not. This is cute, Stone. I'm glad that you thought that was a Mississippi accent.
I thought maybe we were on a plantation in Mississippi. I couldn't tell.
Oh man. Stone.
Jason thinks he's Mel Blanc.
You know, haters are gonna hate because that's what haters do. You know what I mean?
We're loving, Jason. We're loving.
That's all good.
Let's go.
All right, McLovin.
Can't take a joke, dude.
I know. Trust me, you know, I got thick skin. I'm here for it. Well, on that, we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back. Just did the whole thing. Stone just did the whole crossover thing too. He knew exactly what
mesh.
Mesh. Well, I got some other interesting news for you guys, because the Nebraska Supreme Court case could toss thousands of signatures for medical marijuana, you guys. Cohen versus Evnen seeks to invalidate tens of thousands of ballot signatures for the 2024 medical marijuana initiative. The fight to legalize medical marijuana continues in Nebraska, with the state's highest court hearing arguments about the validity of signatures on two ballot measures from the last fall. Cohen versus Evnen challenges whether Nebraskans for medical marijuana had enough valid signatures to be on the ballot even in the first place. Former state senator John Kuhn, with help from Secretary of State Bob Evnen and Attorney General Mike Hilgers, who later joined the lawsuit, believes tens of thousands of signatures required to get those initiatives on the ballot are invalid, alleging fraud by the circulators and improper notarization. A lower court disagreed, however, and they say, when there are bad acts related to the affidavit, according to Berkeley versus Poole, the value of the verification is destroyed and the petition must fall unless the genuineness of the signature is affirmatively shown, said Andrew LeGrune, an attorney for the appellant. Nebraskans for Medical Marijuana said in a statement Wednesday that people don't try this hard to destroy something that does not matter. The appellants only win this case by invalidating signatures, and they can only invalidate enough signatures to make a difference if the court adopts a false one, false all maximum that no other court in the country has adopted, said Daniel Gutman, an attorney for the appellate. Attorneys for the state said because several hundred signatures were found to be fraudulent, something the petitioners didn't deny, the credibility of those collecting signatures is damaged. Allowing the district's court's opinions to stand would allow merely two bad actors to fraudulently place any measure on the ballot so long as they both invoke the Fifth Amendment, LeGrone said. If the court rules in the state's favor, it could invalidate tens of thousands of signatures, putting the initiatives well below the constitutional threshold to be on the ballot and upending the work done to get medical marijuana to patients. The mass invalidation of petition signatures is inconsistent with the high value that this court places on the initiative right, Gutman said. It is inconsistent with the Election Act, which facilitates, not undermines, the initiative process. And it is inconsistent with common sense. The court also may rule that Nebraskans for medical marijuana must again prove the already validated signatures were valid. And the state also said if the small number of fraudulent signatures aren't enough to warrant a closer look, then likely the public's confidence in the precious power of the initiative may be shaken, they say, like an earthquake in California. But Gutman argued the petitioners can't do better than the state's election officials already did in verifying signatures, and the court is expected to make its decision in the next few weeks. For more information about the process of legalizing medical marijuana in Nebraska, you can see 1011's 8-part series, Will the People, which provides a more in-depth investigative reporting on this issue. And on that, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. The Cornhuskers. They're all of a sudden, they're trying to invalidate the signatures and go against the will of the people, Stone.
That's some Christy Nome shit, isn't it?
Oh man, it's classic. It is some Christy Nome type. It is. That is true. That is true. Thank goodness she's over with Homeland Security doing the God's work.
Gosh.
It tells me the government doesn't trust the people.
Right?
When you vote and say, we want this, you go, oh, well, hang on, you didn't get a signal. Oh, it might have been Smartmatic. Well, maybe it was Venezuela. I mean, wait, we got to...
Well, hold on, Dale. Hold on, Dale. These guys already have priors for issuing non-valid signatures, and plus they're from the cannabis space, so they definitely cannot be trusted, Dale.
Of course. Prior bad acts don't come into courts of all these people.
Mm-hmm. There's so many priors in this, that guy should be named Richard.
Sure.
Yeah. They just don't think that we can do anything that's counter to what the government's narrative is.
Yep.
And, at some point, this country was founded on people going, yeah, fuck you. We're going to do it anyway. Stop us. And here we are. And it's like, how many times I got to tell you, the trap is right next door. And if you shut down any part of the legal industry, they're going to start doing home deliveries again. They already are. Like, at some point, some school of business is going to have to bring up somebody in the government and say, listen, dude, this is pretty straightforward. If you want high revenues, the black market's going to live. If you want the black market to go away, stop all this nonsense with restrictions and regulations and taxes and get out of the way. The black market will win. You can't have both. They're irreconcilable. This continent's here is just incredible. But they keep trying. It's like insanity. Let's do the same thing over and over again. We're going to get a different result. No, you won't. Stop it. Get out of the way and leave us alone.
What do you think, Nate?
It's a mess, man. It's just a mess. I have nothing else other than to offer the perspective of somebody who's a listener here, not a specialist. Just it sounds screwed up. I'd love to. At this point, I would just devolve into a rambling mess of why things shouldn't be like this. But I mean, I'm just echoing some thoughts there.
Maybe these petitioners shouldn't have been doing some fraudulent petitioning in the first place. Then they wouldn't have given the opposition the ammunition to fire off these rounds.
Now, are there any examples cited as to
yes.
what was said to be fraudulent?
Well, it did happen, and these guys did admit that they did some fraudulentness in the beginning, and so you know what I mean. And so that is what has now given them the ammunition that after this initiative has passed to be able to go and challenge it on that basis because they already admitted to priors.
So my reply to that, and I apologize in advance if I sound like a fool, please jump in and correct
Don't worry,
I
always will.
Are those direct quotes, one, from those guys agreeing to fraudulent behavior?
Those are direct acts. Are direct acts that did happen.
I've seen, again, and it's something I've mentioned here in Long Beach about how over 10 years ago, but there were enough votes collected to actually bring the decisions regarding cannabis into the hands of the people. And it scared the hell out of the local government. And they went, oh, never again. We're going to work with these people. With that type of approach and that kind of like knowledge on how this stuff has gone, where the I'm sorry, I kind of lost the thought here, but where are we going to be going in terms of when the people actually want something to be done? Where do we actually cross that line with the government? It seems to be like it's two sides against one another. I mean, Dale, like Jason, anybody with experience on this,
well,
how does that end? Like, can somebody walk me through this kind of thing?
Well,
because
first
again,
of all,
I'm in a massive confusion.
You off. I guess you've never met Falcor, obviously, Nate.
I mean, I get maybe half of that reference. Go on.
Because it's a never-ending story. Just saying. I know Stone's having so much fun today. Stone, it's so good to see you, buddy.
Well, California's got one of the only initiatives that the government and the courts can't fuck with.
Mm-hmm.
Every other one, it lets the legislature come in. I mean, it's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And in these days and times, the election people can pull up a signature real quickly. These are electronic. They're not. This is what Elon Musk was pissing and moaning about. Why in the fuck you got to send somebody over on a bicycle for mail rather than just check it electronically? But it can be done fairly quickly. And if somebody admits to doing something stupid, those should all be thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. But it's not that difficult. Democracy just scares the shit out of the government.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have a democracy here. And Teddy Roosevelt started this back in the early 1900s, progressive era. Okay, a Republican president said, no, we're going to let the people decide some of this. An initiative started going, and the government just fought them. They hate them.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely hate them, because people can vote and say, I don't care what you want at the Capitol. This is what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. They hate that. Yep. Especially when you tell them you can't tax us anymore. We're tired of your stupid ass regulations. And in California, with Prop 64, we made it amendable, which you have to do specifically. But even that the government won't do anything to fix it. So I think we have to go back and erase it. It's just, our government does not like democracy.
Yep.
Period.
Exactly.
Stop. Full stop.
It's very true. Very, very, very true. I mean, they like it when they do, and they don't like it when they don't. You know what I mean?
Well, but initiatives are actually come forward to stop the government from doing sketchy shit.
But it's also too important to remember, Dale, that we're not. You know, all the Democrats love to use this word all the time. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic.
I get that. But at the state level, you have the most democracy. Okay. The federal constitution is not a democracy at all. Okay. The state governments can be to much more than the federal government can, but the state governments screw this up routinely. And you get governments like we have here in California entrenched. We have a Democratic government entrenched that just basically refuses to stop the nonsense. And when you pass an initiative, they shit themselves. They don't like that. That's how it's supposed to work. And the government will do things to protect itself rather than take care of the people. And that's the cycle we're in right now.
Yeah, the government does do that.
Goddamn many taxes and regulations stacked on top of each other here in California. Like you can't even fart without being cited for something. I mean, stop. Leave us alone.
Yep. So true. Stone, you have anything you want to throw in there before we move on? All right, seeing that, we're going to roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schafer. Dale's been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He is blunt. He's honest. He's unconcerned with public opinions, your opinions, and he will show you how you can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right. Is your favorite Tio Loco, and you now can find him at his own law office at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody. It's Tio Loco again.
He's back.
Also, your favorite full of shitakis, Jason.
Yeah, I'm
my
here for it.
My story this morning comes out of MJ Biz Daily, and it caught my attention. I think because of something you said yesterday, Jason, about a lot of money had been dropped by these big MSOs to try and get.
Did I trigger something? Sounds like I triggered something.
Reschedule to Schedule 3. Anyway, the headline here is how cannabis operators are preparing for federal marijuana reform.
Mm-hmm.
And this involves Veranos and Cresco Labs and their wish list. And they keep talking about reschedule to Schedule 3, and that's going to save everybody's ass. And the answer is no, it's going to kill the industry as we've been trying to build it. And that really is at the root of what caught my attention here. First of all, I think Schedule 3 would be disaster. Any social equity provider out there is done. You're never going to get a Schedule 3 license. This is going to be controlled. The DEA is never going to let this happen. I mean, I've been dealing with the DEA since the 1970s when they started the war on drugs, basically. And they will not get out of the way and allow any changes to cannabis. So when I saw this, and Verano and Cresco are we're going to have to figure all this stuff out, and Schedule 3's great, and the hemp industry got the rug pulled out from it, and okay, we all lament that. But how are these MSOs going to get what they want? They're going to throw money at it. And if I understand what you said, Jason, they've already thrown money at this.
They have.
Trying to get okay. Biden started this, but the DEA quickly pulled the plug. Okay. And I'm not sure they're going to get Terry Cole to undo this or Pam Bondi to undo this. I mean, I'm always willing to be surprised, but I'm not going to make a large bet this is going to go anywhere. And the 15th of this month, we'll find out if the Supreme Court's going to take up the kind of provisions case and maybe go after Raich versus Gonzalez. But we can beat the dead horse a lot. But what I'm seeing here with Schedule 3 is it's not going to fix anything other than 280E. If these MSOs think that the DEA is going to give them a manufacturing license, okay, which you can grow it, right? I don't see that happening, because it takes years to get these damn things granted. In the meantime, the trap's just going to smile all the way to where they bury their money. Or you're going to get a license to distribute this, because right now, the only people who can distribute controlled substances are pharmacists. I'm hearing nobody saying, oh, we're going to break that model. There isn't a single controlled substance you get to smoke. None, period. Full stop. Okay. Your lungs are very carefully protected. There might be some inhalers, things like that, but you're not going to be going and buying a vape cart. Okay. That's just not happening. You'll get tinctures, maybe some edibles, things like that. It's a disaster. Why people continue to talk about this, I'm betting they threw a lot of money at that, and inside their own beltway, they're betting, oh man, we're going to get somebody's attention in Washington because we put a lot of money in their hands. My response is the DEA's got a lot more tentacles out there than you do. So don't hold your breath. And when I throw this back at you guys, is it just irritates me to watch this stuff. But what do you guys have to say?
I mean, I don't understand why people are expecting, like this. You just need to plan as if nothing is ever going to change, and you'll be all right. All these people, we're going to plan for this, and nothing ever happens, and all of a sudden then they end up holding their, their things in their hands, Dale. Just, what I'm saying?
Scallywag, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's some crazy irony. This is the second time too in this episode that 280E has come up, or at least in terms of in an article. I'm not sure if the listener base knows as well. 280E is essentially what stops cannabis businesses from being able to use tax write-offs. Heinously
not be able to
oversimplifying
use
it.
not be able to use tax write-offs to be able to write their costs off on their taxes like any other normal business.
Thank you for the clarification. And 280E is essentially this antiquated law that was designed to stop
Al Capone,
bootleggers and monsters. It was and stuff like that.
It was made specifically for Al Capone, so they had a way to prosecute him. Because they couldn't prosecute him on anything
back
else.
till I think the 1980s, when the IRS court allowed a drug dealer to write all kinds of shit off his taxes like he was a regular business. And the Congress said, no, fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pass a law that you can only write off the cost of goods sold. Okay? It's why I move almost all my revenue away from plant-touching businesses to a management company where there's some prayer that you're going to get to write some more of your costs off. And now they're talking about being able to amortize startup costs over years. That's the latest thing from the accountants and attorneys I'm working with to do tax stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This was in response to a drug dealer kicking the IRS's ass, and and now it's turned out to be a real problem because all of us. In California, if you run a delivery service, you have to employ the driver. Okay? And that's the only one to ever leave as an employee of a plant-touching business. Everyone else goes someplace else because then we can, charge lease payments. We can put employee costs, things like that, off from the plant-touching business and get some relief. That would be nice to do. And I tell my clients, if they get rid of 280E, we'll erase all these LLCs and C Corps I set up, all these MSAs and shit we wrote. We'll go back to being an LLC that runs a simple business. But I ain't holding my breath about that because I don't think they want this to be a simple business.
I thought you were going to say you're not going to hold your breath because you like oxygen too much, Dale.
I like that too. It's one of those needs when people say, I need something. No, you need to breathe. You need water. You need food. Everything else you want, shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
So to recap on all of that, 280E sounds like this piece of, nerdy tax accountant's, fueled nightmare, but it actually makes and breaks businesses. Hence all of the various dances that Dale was just walking us through that he recommends to and sees people that are needing to be successful do, because essentially you need to, in order to be successful in this industry, you need to actually play these quote games, unquote, or else good luck. You're not afforded the same very significant deciding factors that successful businesses are allowed to have. And just for a little bit of crazy ways that people look at the cannabis industry, this is why we talk about this kind of stuff. It might not seem like much from the outside, but from the inside of the industry, this stuff makes or breaks businesses.
I love me some crazy.
Your favorite brand is either there or not there because they have to play these games too.
I love. What do you got to say, Stone?
I mean, nothing that hadn't already been said. It's. Besides the fact, also they take a very large cut. Also, that 280E. Not only can you not write your shit off, they take a large cut, and then the state takes their cut, and it leaves these poor operators with not enough money to continue in business. So, how willing is the federal government going to be to give up that 280E?
Well, this is the thing that I've told people all the time, is that legalization is going to have some type of a federal tax, because the IRS and the government is getting so much money from 280E that once a bill goes before the CBO, it has to have some type of excise taxes. Otherwise, it won't pass the CBO because the government is already getting so much money from the cannabis industry already. There has to be something that suffice it, because the Congressional Budget Overtory Organization that deals with the whole budget overall, they're not going to say, oh, all of a sudden we're going to change this law and now we're going to stop receiving all this money. Like, that's not going to happen. So there has to be something
momentarily building on that. So when the hemp industry, which is able to sidestep this 280E concern that we're all talking about.
Not after next year, Nate.
That was my point. So if you're looking at why there's such an outrage and blow up over some of these things, 280E in a lot of people's minds was seen as hemp industry was seen as a loophole, essentially, to sidestep a lot of these types of difficulties with having a business and being able to move their favorite product while still being able to enjoy certain things like write-offs that normal businesses can. So that's also adding to the context of why there's such a blow up and fallout to this hemp ban, because what did you just say, Jason? Not after next year, right?
No, not after next year.
The hemp industry is an example business schools to point to when the regulation and taxes are minimal, okay, and people get what they want, and industry flourishes. When you make the regulations and taxes high and industry struggles, and the trap or the illegal market flourishes. Now, I mean, Forrest Gump can figure this shit out. Why can't we get a legislator to really acknowledge that if you squeeze a balloon one place, it's going to pop out someplace else, okay? It's really that simple, because people want to use these products. They're replacing alcohol with them in high levels. Old farts like me figure out a gummy helps me sleep. I can ignore my wife snoring and farting all night long. You know, it's like, why can't we just have an honest discussion about what humans are like? Quit trying to be my goddamn mother and tell me what to do. That really is my complaint. The government ain't my parent. Get out of the way. This hasn't killed anybody, unlike fentanyl and coke and crank and alcohol and tobacco. I mean, every one of them kills people regularly. This doesn't, and yet we still regulate it like it's depleted uranium. It's insane. It really is insane.
Well, you know, speaking of that, cannabis not killing anyone, Dale, you know, I had a law enforcement officer one time in San Diego, a San Diego cop. This was years and years ago. This was back when, back when the Raiders played Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl was in San Diego. That's when this was. That's how many years ago this was. And this cop tells me, marijuana, it killed my whole family. And to which the only thing I could think to say was, what cartel member did you piss off?
Yeah.
And that was all I could think.
Stop her.
Yeah, because marijuana didn't kill your family. A person killed your family, if anything. Otherwise, you're just making bullshit up, officer.
There are people in positions in law enforcement that actually believe this shit. They tend to be in the narcotics divisions, and it's their emotional truth. They think that just being in the presence of this is going to ruin. The DEA agent that drove me to jail the day they arrested me, and I stunk like weed. I'd been smoking. I was cooking a bunch of shit in the kitchen. He testified in my trial that I smelled so much like weed, he started to feel high. So Tony Serra asked him, did the music sound better or what?
Oh, Tony Serra is the man. He's I love that guy.
Yeah. But we all just had a chuckle. It's like, you're so fucking deluded, but you're the cop carrying a gun arresting me.
Yep.
Come on, man.
Yep.
Get out of here.
You're right, bro. You are so right about that, Dale. So right, man. Well, on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back. We got to play Highly Educated. There we go. And then let's restart the stream deck. The control tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The control tower from Highly Educated. Space power. So think about that. Yeah, we'll talk more in the next commercial. But stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com. And I know to all of our YouTube audience, we have been out for a week, and so we are sorry about that. But YouTube all of a sudden decided to give us a strike on a past episode. Doesn't make any sense to us why. And so YouTube put us on in jail for a week, so we couldn't upload our stream. So please make sure that you are following us on X and Rumble. Those are the two platforms that are allowing us to say whatever we want, and we don't have to worry about the censorship on YouTube. And so please make sure that you are following us on YouTube, or excuse me, on X and Rumble. Please make sure that you're doing that, because that is where you will find us if you can't find us on YouTube. I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
That's pretty cool.
All right, and we are back, and we are going to roll right in to the man from Austin, the bluest, only blue lagoon in Texas, where they love to smoke Delta 8, vape Delta 8, and even Delta 10. Yeah. That's right. It's definitely not a perfect 10, but you know who is? It's Stone Slade. That's right. It isn't another than Mr. Stone Slade.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
I just said you were a perfect 10, Stone. I think your wife. I think your wife will really appreciate that.
You ended it with the compliments.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
There's actually 4 blue lagoons in the state. It's all the big cities. Anyway.
Let you tell it. You know the best part about being in Texas, Stone.
Stop it. Yeah. No, you mean in Austin.
Oh yeah, about being in Austin. Yeah, you're right.
There you go.
Yeah,
all right.
Sorry.
Hey, I got a story to do here.
All right.
Every now and then, an industry event pops up that doesn't feel like work at all and honestly feels a little more like what this whole movement was supposed to be about in the first place. And that was the vibe at the inaugural Las Vegas Vlasic Classic on November 8th, held at the Las Vegas Paiute Golf Resort. And let me tell you, this wasn't your standard cannabis conference where you're stuck inside a hotel ballroom with stale coffee and even staler regulations. This was the first ever fully compliant legal consumption golf tournament in the US. Translation, you could actually light up on the course without somebody whispering, hey, you might want to step into the woods. Because this event took place on sovereign Paiute land with the partnership of New Woo Cannabis, attendees finally got what they've been wanting for years, an adult use industry event where adults can actually consume. Novel concept, I know. If the name sounds familiar, it's because the Vlasic Classic has been marking its way across the country, starting back in the Midwest. Founder Willie Vlasic said this Las Vegas expansion was intentional, connecting the event to a major cannabis market at the time when the industry is starving for more open, organized, real-life community moments. And as he put it, Las Vegas represents the next chapter in our mission to blend sport, advocacy, and cannabis culture positivity. The turnout backed him up. Golfers, operators, and advocates, brand reps, you name it, everyone from longtime industry vets to folks who just love the culture showed up. Some people sprinted through the course chasing trophies and hole-in-one prizes. Others took the we're consuming legally on the golf course approach and played at a, let's call it, gentle pace. No one seemed in a hurry to leave. Sponsor tents lined the fairways, offering product demos, hangout lounges, and plenty of conversation. And without the usual where can we smoke shuffle that plagues 99% of industry events, people just flowed. Golfing, chatting, learning, networking, no juggling act required. Honestly, it felt less like a tournament and more like a field trip where everybody wanted to actually show up. This wasn't just a good time, it was a fundraiser with measurable outcomes. The Las Vegas Vlasic Classic raised over $17,500 for 3 national organizations working on cannabis justice and reentry: Freedom Grow Forever, the Last Prisoner Project, and the Weldon Project. These groups are doing great work. Let's be honest, should have been baked into legalization from day one. Commissary support, reentry, micro grants, legal advocacy, clemency, and sentencing reform. Bill Levers of Freedom Grow said that the Vlasic family has been instrumental in helping them share prisoner stories and directly support those still paying the price for the laws this industry has outgrown. And if you've ever heard me talk on this topic of the show before, you know how important it is that we don't forget the people who didn't have the luxury of waiting for reform to catch up. With Vegas, this Vegas edition, the tournament series has already been held in Michigan and Missouri earlier this year and has raised over $140,000 for second chance efforts. Industries, a wide range of brands showed up to back the Vlasic Classic. Cannabis Now, Mama J's, Matrix, Verano, Curaleaf, Stizzy, and Good Day Farm. The NCIA also returned as the official trade association sponsor and even offered discounted first-year memberships to attendees, which is a nice perk, especially for smaller operators trying to stay afloat in this industry. If you're already wondering where you can catch the next tee-up, the Vlasic returns for its next event in Missouri, May 1st through the 3rd at Old Kinderhook Resort. Previous Missouri events have had big attendance and solid media coverage. So early signs point to 2026 being even bigger. I'm Stone Slade with the High at 9 News.
The Vlasic Classic, Stone.
The Vlasic Classic. Got a nice name.
Was there a stork involved?
I don't know if there was a stork or pickles, but lots of cannabis.
It sounds like one hell of a escapade. But is this named after Vlasic because they're the title sponsor, Vlasic Pickles?
The guy's name, that's his family name. I don't know if that's they're tied together or not.
Oh, we need to find out about this, bro.
One green into another green. Like, look at that.
Vlasic would be an amazing sponsor, Stone.
It would be.
Yeah, especially with the pickle the cannabis industry is in.
Yeah. Oh, where is it? Hold on. Wait. Hold that thought.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes, get it, baby. Get it. You know. Telling you, bro, I got them all day right now. I've been on fire lately.
You're on a roll for that.
I've been on fire lately.
Every tournament I've ever been in, there was a golf cart or two driving around with a bar in it.
Yeah, right?
We'd have to sneak off to the side, cousin walk, if you will, go smoke some weed. It would be nice to be able to not have to do that.
I will say too, the article that I sourced from said this is the first tournament in the U.S. I attended maybe it's a smaller tournament, but some sort of a tournament at a golf course in Seattle that David Tran, David Tran.
Yep. Well, let me say this.
It was a deal he put on, and we were full on smoking. Like every hole had something. I remember one hole was. I've been
to tons of golf tournaments out here in California where it's open consumption throughout the entire course. So this is definitely not the first time. This is the first time maybe the Vlasic Classic had open consumption or whatnot, but it's definitely not the first time it ever happened in the world. That's total.
I did question.
That's total gaslighting. But you know what? If they want to throw it out there for the people, like whatever. We all know that it's total BS. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's kind of like all the people. Oh, I've been in the industry for 4 years and I'm a seasoned industry veteran. I'm a master grower. You know what I mean?
Real quick, although I would tend to side with you guys in terms of like the actual validity of that statement, I can add a little bit of context.
Sweet. Here we go.
That sponsor that they mentioned, that NUWU, NUWU.
Yeah, they're Indian. Indian tribal
Indian reservation.
In
they were
Vegas.
the first. They were the first consumption lounge utilizing the more open abilities that a lot of tribal rights will give to an organization. They were the first lounge in certainly in Las Vegas, likely in Nevada.
Yeah, they're the first lounge in Nevada. Yes, that's true. That's true.
They opened years before others.
They did.
So I think just to contextualize, I think they're riding the coattails of this like all access sort of idea of cannabis and cannabis tourism that now is seemingly extending to a golf course on their property. Not to say I agree with you, that's the first one ever, but I think that whomever wrote that was probably approaching it from that angle.
I don't think that that's what the angle they were approaching it at. I think they were just trying to add that in to try to hype up the event and get more people to want to put eyes on it.
Maybe
it's all for their SEO, their search engine optimization, bro. That's all that those taglines are about, Nate. That's all it is. They're just trying to sell more tickets with the articles.
Well, definitely going to use that positive, successful event for the next one in Missouri, and hopefully they're like, "Hey, Missouri, look what we can do! Let us do what we want to do, and we'll all have a great time."
Mm-hmm. Speaking of having a great time, you can have a great time with us if we are not here on YouTube, on X, and Rumble. So make sure that you're subscribing to us on those platforms. And Stone, this was I really like this story. This is a good cause. You know what I'm saying? Man, good. Yeah, good shit. This sounds like
look up the Vlasics.
Yeah, shout out to Vlasics. Yes, this, you know what I'm saying, and with a stork on every hole. You know what I mean? Yeah, just dropping babies here and dropping babies there. You know what I'm saying? It'd literally be a hole-in-one, Stone. Well, on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh, man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Oh, it'd be so good. That'd be so fun. That would be so fun. Oh, man, and we are back, and we are going to roll right into Mr. Nate Winokur. Nate had a cannabis testing lab here in California that was unjustly persecuted by the DCC, and now the leader of the DCC is stepping away. Was it because of Nate? Only time will tell. But nonetheless, Nate has been helping out and educating with his new online platform, Teaching Bud. And so make sure that you teach yourself with Teaching Bud. It is none other than Mr. Nate Winokur.
I appreciate that warm intro right there, my friend. Hope everybody's doing awesome. This is Nate. Thank you guys for having me. Today's story comes from Cannabis Science and Technology magazine. A study examines cannabis use patterns and cognitive performance in aging adults. Let me just get that one kicking. This is a UK biobank study on data from adults aged 60 and older. And cannabis use was found not to cause widespread cognitive harm, though with mixed results on the benefits and the risks. How do cannabis use patterns affect cognitive performance in older adults without dementia? A recently published study found that cannabis use was not generally harmful and was even associated with improved cognition, though with some mixed additional results. To assess the effect of cannabis on cognition, the study examined data from the United Kingdom Biobank, which contains data on over 500,000 individuals over age 40 across Great Britain from 2006 through 2010. The study noted the rise of cannabis use in older adults and the need for more investigation into its effects on age-related cognitive performance, as research on cognitive function in individuals past middle age is inconsistent and limited. The study, History of Cannabis Use and Cognitive Function in Older Adults, the findings from the UK Biobank, was produced in Age and Aging in November 2025. The study consisted of a cross-sectional and longitudinal analysis. Researchers examined data from the UKBB on participants aged 60 years and older. The cross-sectional analysis included over 67,000 participants, and the longitudinal data analysis included 52,000 participants. The average was 67 years old. Cognitive data was collected from the years 2014 through 2019, while data on cannabis use was collected from self-reported questionnaires from years 2016, 2017, and from 2022 through 2023. Cognitive tests included attention and executive function, processing speed, visual memory, and working memory. The researchers examined past and current cannabis use as well as patterns of use, which included age of initial cannabis use, frequency, and duration, which included short-term or long-term. Participants were classified as either lifetime users or no lifetime users. Lifetime users were also categorized as current, with use within the past year or former last use over a year. That's prior. Regular cannabis use was coded as is more than once per month. So those are some pretty good corrections going on. The result was a pretty complex relationship. Overall, cannabis use was not found to be universally harmful to cognition in participants, and past cannabis use was even associated with better cognitive performance, though some inconsistencies were also found. Just to name a few of the highlighted results. Out of the total number of participants, 17% reported cannabis use at least once in their lives, and amongst those participants, 4% had used cannabis within the last year. From the cross-sectional analysis, lifetime users were found to perform better across all cognitive domains compared to those without a history of cannabis use. That's kind of crazy. Current use of cannabis was associated with better working memory. Some mixed results were also seen. For example, early onset of cannabis use, duration, and frequency of use demonstrated an association with improved attention and visual memory, while past use was linked with a slower decline in executive function. Yet, former users who started cannabis before age 17 demonstrated poorer working memory compared with those who started cannabis at a later age. Past use was linked to better performance and slower decline in some cognitive domains, the researchers explained. However, specific usage patterns, such as longer duration, were associated with poorer outcomes in other domains. These findings highlight the need for further research to clarify underlying mechanisms and guide evidence-based recommendations regarding cannabis use in aging populations. Some limitations to the study. The researchers did note that the potential for a recall bias as a potential limitation. Don't always remember things the same way. Additionally, the data did not distinguish between medical and recreational cannabis use. The dose, cannabinoids, and methods of administration, the ROAs, were also not included. One recently published, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial examined the effect of an extract containing THC and CBD in individuals with dementia. Results indicated that the low-dose extract over 6 months demonstrated alleviated cognition loss. Big. The study, a randomized clinical trial of low-dose cannabis extract in Alzheimer's disease, was published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease in October 2025. Additionally, the November installment of the Monthly Healer webinar included a discussion on this study and others on the effects of cannabinoids for symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, highlighting the potential to improve cognition and manage behavioral symptoms. Wow. So how many different directions do you guys want to go with this one? How many people have dementia and or Alzheimer's in their family, to whom I say, I'm sorry, that's a terrible thing to go through, and I've personally bared witness to, but at the same time knowing that to layer on numerous anti-cancerous, anti-epileptic, anti-diabetic properties on cannabis, brain health, long-term brain health, and the ability to opportunity, one should say, to keep your brain and keep it as healthy as possible are all linked to this. In fact, reading other studies that now go back years, I even recall certain potential factors for neurogenesis, which read into that. That's, basically, regeneration of brain. So neurogenesis conditions under certain cannabinoid conditions, cannabinoid dosages and conditions within the brain. So there are some really amazing and special things, especially when you consider what some people and some families have had to deal with and what this means going forward. There's so much more to research. There are also other things that are nice to know as well. Like, wouldn't you like to know right from day one when you decided to start being, say, a daily smoker or getting high with your friends or whatever have you? wouldn't it be nice to know that if you waited a few more years to do that kind of thing, the long-term benefits would pay dividends? And if you happen to be the person who smokes or partakes in, say, the middle of their life, there are actually, again, long-term dividends that come with having a healthier, better performing chemical system, the endocannabinoid system, and how obviously this plays out across the long term. That's what I think. Thank you guys so much for having me. I love this, and I love being able to share these kind of things with you, because for better or worse with these kind of stories, it opens the book on so many more things to discuss. So those are my thoughts, and would love to hear yours. Back to you.
Interesting. Well, you know, a lot of my Democratic friends suffer from dementia, so I wonder if cannabis would help them.
Fuck you.
You'll notice there was nothing political about this article. Let's just keep it.
I couldn't help myself, bro. You set it up. You set it up.
Knee-jerk reaction.
Yes. Well, you know.
You know what I thought about when you were talking about that, Nate. But there was a doctor that studied in Jamaica. I think her name was Marianne Marr. She was a nurse, but got her doctorate in nursing. Did a longitudinal study. You know, women who were pregnant, smoking like choo-choo trains, never stopped. Every kid hit their milestone. They followed them longitudinally. It's like, okay, we don't see problems here. Now, I remember having patients who took certain drugs. One guy didn't have arms and legs, had flippers. Okay, it's like we don't see any of that. All right. And these kids hit their milestones. Now, what we see is a decent argument to tell teenagers, okay, and parents, if you find your kids are out smoking, you know, talk to them, discourage them from starting smoking weed too early. I mean, for me, it's too late, but you know, it's like the grandkids, look, don't do this too early, because the benefits probably aren't there. Your brain is still pruning and all that kind of shit. But at some point, there is ample evidence that this is not only not harmful, but it seems to be helpful. So when I see these studies come out from statistical reviews, what I call mental masturbation, where somebody goes, oh, we have statistical increase here in heart disease, and it's like, no, you don't. Because we live in a real world. All of us that are involved in this show, we live around people who use cannabis on a regular basis. Okay. And we don't see people turning into assholes getting stoned. They're not killing people on the roadways. If you give somebody, I mean, I snuck weed into my mom. She was fucking crazy and demented and shit. I got her off Vicodin, and she was happier to pig and shit because we just gave her gummies and shit. Okay, and it runs in the family. So if you got someone you're dealing with who really has dementia, and there's something that can help you keep them from not being so agitated, help with their dementia, you know, their loss of cognition, I think that's a wonderful thing. We should be promoting that. And the risk-benefit ratio, it's not even there to talk about, okay? Because I've had people die from dementia, Alzheimer's, in my family. And every time I can't remember something, it's like, oh, fuck, I'm getting Alzheimer's. I can't remember. But in my age group, and I am over 60, I'm over 70. It's like, if you talk to people honestly and say, if you're having trouble sleeping at night, a gummy probably isn't going to hurt you. It may help you. Okay. If you want to smoke, that's great, but you don't have to. There are ways to use this. And then they're substituting alcohol. Like, let's have a discussion honestly amongst us old farts, or what are the benefits of this we know and that we can show statistically. And the gaslighting from these review organizations about how, it might have cardiac effects. It might, cause toenail fungus or some bullshit. Just
who cares, right?
Stop.
Yeah, it's exact. I'm with you. I have a friend. I have a friend that does suffer from dementia, and they've been to a number of doctors, and they're getting some treatment and whatnot in regards with this, and they say that one of the best things to do for them is to have them start talking about past stories. And because they basically said that that where your memories are in your brain is kind of like a rubber band, and so you want to try to get them to stretch out and elaborate on as many things on a constant basis to really keep that elasticity in the brain functioning, because that's where all of those memories, you know what I'm saying, you being able to remember them are all traveling through.
Well,
you definitely have stoners telling the same story over and over and over again. So I wonder if that pours into this, right?
It might. It very well could. It very well could.
Well, but in the experience I've had with Alzheimer's is that you do remember more from the deep memory pool than you do from recent memory. That was my grandmother's problem. She couldn't remember where her ass was. Couldn't find it with both hands. But she could remember what happened in 1933. Okay? But if you could take that and give people something that you could dose them without freaking them out and help preserve whatever amount of recent memory they might be able to have or lay down, that's only a good thing. The other thing in my family is I've got a bunch of grandkids that are neurodivergent, okay? And I've got nieces and nephews who have the same problem. And they've put some of them on these very powerful drugs, okay? And it's like, you know, is there any other options here? I'd like to see more work being done in that arena, where we've got, you know, the neurologists don't know what the hell to call it. It used to be spectrum disorder and ADHD and Adderall prescriptions were written like crazy. And we look at that because that would be something to give tools to parents, that we don't want kids just smoking weed, but if your kid's got a choice of Adderall versus perhaps a tincture or a gummy, and it works all day long, let's look into stuff like that. Let's stop treating this like it's fentanyl, okay? And that really is, you know, I get upset when people have a knee-jerk, oh, it's drugs. No, we're not mainlining heroin.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
Exactly.
Stop it. We're not giving your kids 151, you know, white lightning. Stop it. Hey, Jesus. Get off my soapbox here.
All right. Well, you know, I did find. You have anything? Any closing statements on that, Stone? You good? You remember everything you wanted to say?
Me?
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I do. Yeah, no, I'm good. I mean, I think the real irony of the story is the people that'll benefit the most from this are the same people who were taught to fear this plant for the last half century. So
this is very true. Very true. Good, great point there, Stone. I'm glad you could remember that. But I do have a good final story to end the show on today, because there's been a bill to update medical cannabis program was been introduced by 7 DC council members, you guys. That's right. 7 members of the DC City Council have introduced new legislation that would reshape several portions of the city's medical cannabis law. The bill, titled the Medical Cannabis Process Improvement Amendment Act of 2025, has been formally referred to the Committee on Business and Economic Development. In addition to other changes, the proposals would tighten location rules near child-serving facilities and expand the ability of advisory neighborhood commissions to weigh in on license applications. The measure is sponsored by council members Charles Allen, Anita Bonds, Christina Henderson, Brooke Pinto, Matthew Fruman, Janice Lewis George, and Zachary Parker. It follows more than a year of stepped-up enforcement against unlicensed cannabis shops and continued efforts to stabilize the city's regulated market medical marijuana program. And a key provision of the bill would close what council members describe as an unintended loophole in existing law. While current rules bar medical cannabis retailers from operating within 300 feet of preschools in K-12 schools and recreation centers, the law never defined the term preschool. The gap has allowed retailers to propose locations next to facilities serving young children, depending on how the facility is licensed. The new bill explicitly adds child development facilities to the restricted proximity list, aligning with the statute with what sponsors say was the council's original intent. The legislation also strengthens protest rights for communities. Under current law, daycare centers have limited grounds on which they can formally object to a proposed medical cannabis licensee, none of which directly cover potential impacts on children, and the bill expands allowable protest grounds to include peace, order, quiet, and concerns about children's exposure. Standards already in place for alcohol licensing. And it would also extend protest authority to ANC commissioners for internet retailer licenses, an area where council members say a discrepancy has prevented community input even when delivery operations could affect neighborhood traffic or safety. Councilmember Allen, who submitted the bill with a detailed letter outlining its purpose, said the changes reflect real-world implementation issues identified since the council expanded ABCA's oversight tools and cracked down on unlicensed sales. The updates, he wrote, are meant to further protect children, improve community engagement, and ensure the medical program operates as intended. With the legislation now before the Business and Economic Development Committee, it will be scheduled for a public hearing or markup before any full council consideration. Well. It's all about protect the kids. Christmas is coming up. You got to protect them. You got to give them some gifts of protection. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Every time I hear this, I remind myself that I take my grandchildren shopping with me, and I'm standing there looking at bottles of Glenfiddich and a bottle of wine, and they're standing right there munching on potato chips.
Yep.
Nobody gives two shits about whether your kids are exposed to alcohol. I mean, it's so hypocritical, and yet it's a tool that's used by Karens and Kevins and fucking snowflakes to stop you from trying to engage in a business. But when it was the hemp thing, you could go to the local Stop and Rob and buy your hemp right there in this store.
Yeah.
And nobody gave two shits about a kid. It's THCA. The same thing they're selling dispensaries, it's just called THCA. And the kid's right there, and mom's buying them and a soda pop and shit. It's nonsense. It really is getting old, and it gets under my skin sometimes, because it's a parent's job to teach their children. It ain't the government's job to protect children from what their parents should be teaching them. Now, get out of the way. Parents should be smart enough to know that if you're not explaining to your kids by the time they're able to talk to you about drugs, what they are, and showing them how they're bad, what they're good about, being honest with them, and you're just not being a good parent. The government is not going to be a parent for your children about drugs. They're just going to lock their ass up if they get caught with them.
Man. No, DC. When I first found this story, I was like, oh, this is great. They're gonna, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna tighten up on their gifting and whatnot, and have some meaningful things. And then it turned out to be this, and I was just like, so disappointed, so disappointed. And the fact that they're talking about the internet thing for delivery services, and referencing traffic and these people driving through their communities with this and that. Like, see, there's so much crime that happens in DC. Like, that is the least thing that should be on any parent's mind as a online delivery service delivering weed in their neighborhood. It's so ridiculous. So ridiculous.
Are they upset about the CVS delivery or Walgreens delivery in their neighborhood?
Exactly. Yep.
That's more likely to get up, right?
This is just hysteria. And I mean, my parents' generation bought it because in 1937 they made marijuana federally illegal unless you pay some silly ass tax. And they really started the propaganda campaign. It was racist to its core. It was all kinds of shit. People still buy this because my mama told me it was bad, or my grandma said. No, be a critical thinker yourself. And anyway, it just irritates the crap out of me to keep hearing this stuff.
Fair enough. And I do want to remind everybody, we were in YouTube jail for a week. They gave us some strikes, so we couldn't upload our live stream to YouTube. So please make sure that you are following us on Rumble and X, where you will always be able to find us because they don't censor speech and whatnot. So if you cannot find us, make sure that you find us on X and Rumble going forward in the future. YouTube is not a stable platform, at least currently. Hopefully we can work with YouTube and come to some applicable thing, but we have not been able to as of yet. So just so you know, just keep that in mind and make sure that you follow us on X and Rumble. both of those platforms. And on that, we do want to tell you all, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on every day. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this. And thank you to Cloud Media Partners, Elias and Gabriel. They're somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.